You are listening to the Slow Living Podcast, and I'm your host, Stephanie O'Day. What if I told you that you could truly have the life of your dreams, the life you've always wanted, one filled with abundance, joy, and a sense of purpose? It's absolutely possible, and I see it each and every day with my coaching clients. It all starts with learning how to slow down. You deserve to live the life you've always dreamt about. Let's get started. Hi there, Slow Down Society. Steph here. And in this episode 70, I am going to introduce you to someone that I've been following online for a very, very, very long time. And before this interview, we had never actually spoken in real life. I had emailed with him a few times. But his name is Ryan Lee, and he is the real deal. And I started thinking over the break of how long I've been online and how many trends and phases I've seen come and go on the internet, and who has always been stable and who was in it for the long haul and wasn't out to make a quick buck. And Ryan Lee came to my brain. And so I reached out to him and I asked if he would be willing to be the first guy interviewed on the Slow Living Podcast and bring a little bit of testosterone to the air. And I wanted to talk to him about scammers and essentially sniffing them out and how to decide who's real and who's phony baloney online and who you should trust and who you should stay far, far, far away from. And in it, I did name drop some names, which hopefully won't get me in trouble, although he was very careful and he did not in any way. But he's been online for a long time, and he too has seen things come and go. And when you are seeing someone's reels or someone's stories or something on TikTok, and they're talking really loud and acting super important and making it seem like they have all of the answers, and all you need to do is give them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they too will share the answers that you're seeking and searching for. I want you to stop, and I want you to slow down, and I want you to take a deep breath, because anyone who says you need them are wrong. The internet is huge. It is vast. There's so much knowledge out there, and everyone has their own take and their own spin. And I absolutely wholeheartedly want you to research and vet everyone, always, always, always. I got started writing crockpot recipes online. I most certainly am not an expert in lots and lots of things, and I don't profess to be that way. I am a humaning. I've learned some things. I've got some shortcuts. I've got some ideas, and the people that I've worked with have had good success, but I am not the professor of all of the knowledge of all of the things. There are many different avenues you can take to help you get your desired result. And I want you to never feel like you have to do something. I want you to lean in and decide to work with someone because you want to, because you're interested, because you're curious, but not because you feel like you're missing out if you don't buy now or something like that. That's hustle culture, and that is something we are not interested in any way. So I hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with Ryan. And if always you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm a real person. I answer my email, steph@stephanieoday.com. All right, enjoy, and I will see you next time. You are listening to the Slow Living Podcast, and I am your host, Stephanie O'Day. We are on episode number 70, and I'm going to title this one, Sniffing Out the Scammers. And in honor of this episode, we have our very first boy. I am going to interview and introduce you to someone I've been following for a very, 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 very long time, although I think we've never really talked in real life. But I am going to introduce you to Ryan Lee. And Ryan Lee, when I think of someone who is the real deal and someone who is not an internet marketing bro, that is who I think of. And this is the first time we've ever video chatted. He sort of looks like my husband, and he reminds me of what I would want an older brother kind of, and I'm not aging you in any way, Ryan, because we're in the same age range, but I do think, because I read your emails, that you might be a few years older than me. But what I like about him is he's a real guy. He's got 4 kids. He's a dad. He's not ashamed by talking about his kids, but he also doesn't overshare. I don't know their names. I don't really know their ages. I think they're relatively the same age as my kids, but he gets to the point quickly, and he is, in my brain, the epitome of the anti-hustler, yet he makes good money, and he is an awesome marketer. So Ryan, thank you. Thank you for coming on the Slow Living Podcast.
Wow, that was a great intro, Stephanie. I hope I live up to this, but I'm most excited to be the first guy on here.
I know. We're getting a little testosterone in the house today.
Yeah, I will. I'm just gonna curse a lot, and I'll make sure I'm like drinking and getting all tatted up and stuff.
So that said, I know one of your very first books that you put out was like how to get buff in a certain amount of time. Does that sound right?
Well, it was interesting. It was called The Millionaire Workout, and what I tried to do was combine your health, your health fitness, and building a business at the same time. It was like this 21-day program. So day 1, here's your workout. And day 1, here's what to do to start building your business. So I tried to kind of walk the tightrope, and it was pretty well received. It's out of print now, but if you go to Amazon, they're going for like $100, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
You're a legend. I will tell you though, from my experience, building a business and sort of taking care of your body and paying attention to it go hand in hand.
Oh, absolutely. I think you could build a business without focusing on your health, but it's never going to reach the level it should, and you're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted, your brain's not going to function as well, and I think if you want to reach the highest levels of success in anything, you got to take care of your health, you got to take care of your body. I think as Jim Rohn said, it's take care of your body, it's the only place you have to live, and it's true. Like you really have to. That
part is true, and I do love a good Jim Rohn quote. I really do.
Who doesn't?
I know, for realsies. So the reason I wanted to have you on is I feel sometimes like I've got a good head on my shoulders and I can sniff out scams. But every once in a while, I let my guard down and I sort of fall, probably in a Facebook doom scroll, for something. And I pull out my credit card and I'm buying something, and then I immediately have buyer's remorse, and I sort of fall victim to these scams. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of times the male marketers, which is a little odd, sort of prey on vulnerability and essentially moms. And I wondered if you could speak to that and how to kind of sniff out the scam guys.
Yeah, it's hard because they're so good at persuasion and manipulation and using advanced techniques and NLP, and you don't even realize it. And before you know it, you're just getting sucked in. I mean, when they start promising, hey, I got my first, I went from 0 to 100,000 a month in the first 7 days or 4. When you start hearing those promises, it's always just BS. Like, they do definitely prey on people who are looking for just financial freedom and working from home. Moms are just a prime target, especially if you're raising young kids and maybe you're out of work or you're working part-time and you're trying to make some extra money. And
exhausted, exhausted.
Of course. And if you don't have kids, and it's funny when you see here's someone to avoid. If they're talking about, hey, here's how to get 100,000 Instagram followers and productivity, blah blah blah, and they're like a 22-year-old guy who doesn't have any kids, don't listen to them.
Don't listen.
No, I mean, come on, let's get real. And I once posted about that. I did a post years ago. I said something like, if you don't have kids, please don't lecture me about productivity. And a lot of people liked that post, and man, a lot didn't too, because they're like, how dare you? Just because we don't have kids, it doesn't mean we don't know. I'm like, hey, yeah, I get it, but you know what? We have 4. And I know what it's like to be busy and exhausted. And there's a few different things some of these kind of scammers do. One way is they'll either ask you to opt in. So they'll say, hey, just give me your email and I'm going to give you this great report. I'm going to give you this free ebook. Or they're going to sell you a low ticket thing, something for maybe $10, $20, even up to $50, where it just promises the world. Most of them now, it's shifted, where it used to be, then they'll try to sell you a $200 or $500 or $1,000 course. Now what they do is they get you on the phone and they give you to these hyper aggressive salespeople who are going to use every trick in the book to try to get you to spend like 10 grand and promise you the world. Oh, we'll build your site and we'll even drive traffic. And if it doesn't work, you get your money back. And yeah, good luck with that. You're not getting your money back. But they sell these really expensive things. And when I ask people on my list, how much have you spent? It's amazing how many people have been taken for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. They go into debt. I'll never forget one guy. It wasn't a woman. It was a guy, and he said he was taken it was like a long con by someone who's very well known in the personal development market for over $250,000. And he said, Ryan, in about 3 days, I have to live in my car. Like my wife kicked me out. Like I'm done. And it's just
so it's
sad.
interesting because I know we were talking, and this audience is primarily moms, but I do know because I can watch my husband, who's an engineer, so he's the most skeptical of the skeptics in the world, which is great for me because he's like the weight to hold on to my helium-filled balloon. But they'll shift the narrative. They're using the exact same marketing strategy, but they'll shift to the narrative to the men of, don't you want to provide to for your family? Don't you want to man up and take over and that kind of stuff? And it's really gross.
It is. I've always been repelled by that, this whole aggressive alpha male, and what's nice is, so I've been with my wife, we met our junior year in college. So we've been together, we've been dating for now, this year's gonna be 30 years. So she's my grounding force, and she could sniff out all that stuff. She can't stand any of that. But, when they're targeting guys, right? They're doing this kind of alpha thing. But the women too, there's this crop of female marketers who are, they're aggressive but in a different way. And
boss babes.
Yeah, it's this whole own your thing and, don't take any crap from anyone, and you're gonna rock your business, and it's 5,000, it's 10,000, it's 15,000. You take control, and that's like the messaging. I get it. Take control of your life. Don't take any crap. Cool, awesome. However, when you actually go into their trainings, it is the fluffiest garbage. Not all, almost all. Because there's just no substance, because it's like a pyramid scheme, the old
it is.
pyramid scheme. Here's the model. You pay me $10,000 and I'm going to teach you how to be a coach. Okay, great. Now I'm a coach. Well, what do? Well, you teach other people how to be a coach.
I know.
And you charge them $10,000. And it really, it's insane, because that's exactly what it is. But it keeps going, and the people on the bottom are the ones that get burned.
It really is. So it's interesting because I've been life coaching for quite a while, but that part of it is so gross to me. I mean, I first of all, you don't need to be certified to give advice. Anyone, you do not.
Right.
So that said, knowing some background in psychology and how to talk to people and how to listen is very, very useful, but you can get that information from library books and from heavily lesser cost experiences. What's interesting though is the what you were talking about of the businessy part, and I did this, so now I'm going to teach you to do this, and then I'm going to teach you how to teach other people to do this. So when the website that I built for Peanuts was doing really well, I had all of these mostly men people telling me that I was doing it wrong because I wasn't teaching what I did. But what I did worked for me, and it was the right time at the right place. And if I did what they wanted me to do, I would have spent so much money in ads, and I don't know if I would have ever broke even. And one other thing I wanted to point out, and you have pointed this out in your emails, just because someone says they made $100,000 in 7 days, you don't know if they spent $250,000 to get that $100,000.
Well, that's exactly the thing. What you make and what you keep are two totally different things. And there's a few things people get glossy-eyed over, and they're two different vanity metrics. Number one is the amount of followers they have. The amount of followers, it's cool, it looks great, but try going to the bank and saying, you know what, hey, my mortgage is due, but you know what, I have 30,000 followers. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Also, I hate the word followers. I find it so obscene.
It's just crazy. It's just the whole thing is ridiculous.
Gross thing.
It's the whole thing.
It's funny because I know I'm in your Facebook group, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook and social media. If I did not have to have it in any way, I wouldn't. I'd be perfectly happy just tossing it away.
Yeah, I have a love-hate too. There are days when it is just, it makes me kind of sad because there's so much hurt and hate. You want to feel bad about yourself? Run a Facebook ad. Like even when we did it for my nutrition company, my God, the amount of hate we would get. I wasn't hard selling. I'm like, hey, here's our new greens. It's this flavor. Oh, it's fake. Oh, eat real fruit and vegetable. People are insane. But I forgot what I was saying. We were talking about
just churning money into ads and pretending that you're making a ton, but you're really not.
So the metric, so there's the vanity metrics of followers or fans or whatever that is, right? And then there's the other of, oh, I made blah, blah, blah. No, you didn't make that. Your business generated that, and maybe that was top line revenue, but that doesn't mean that's what you keep. I mean, I had, and this is going to sound like a brag or a humble brag. I don't even know what the friggin' terminology is. But, I've had 2 different businesses that I've grown to 7 figures a month. And I could say that 7 figures a month. But it doesn't mean I made 7 figures a month. I wasn't walking away with like $2-3 million a month in my pocket. They generated 7 figures, but it took a lot of money. We were spending $25,000 a day on ads. We had a team. We had a CFO. We had a COO. It's not that, my friend told me a story that he was at an event and the speaker starts bragging, oh my God, I made, I'm going to show you how I made $1 million from my blog in 1 year. And then he got off the stage. The person's like, oh my God, this is amazing. He said, yeah, but you know what I didn't tell them? I spent $1.1 million on ads. So, and we don't see that.
It's so gross.
It is. I was for years, I was in that world. So I was on stages, I was selling, I was speaking, and you wouldn't believe the stories. I'll tell you one quick one. I was this guy who was a very well-known marketer begged me to speak at his event because his business was going down the tubes. Begged me, and I was coaching him. He was paying me at that time, it was like $800 a month. And I get there the first day, and his poster's everywhere all over the walls. I'm like, oh, where is he? Let's call him Joe. Okay. And the event organizer said, oh, he's not here. He's speaking at another event. I said, what? He said, he's going to be here tomorrow. I said, it's his event. So anyway, I talked to him that night. He flies in, and he said, Ryan, is there any way I could have my $800 back from last month? I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, business is dying, and I can't make payroll. I'm like, but all these people are here. You're calling this like, the 7-figure event, how to make 7 figures in your business. You don't have $800? He's like, no, man, we're struggling. And people are like running to the back of the room to do his $5,000 coaching, and I just wanted to crawl on. That was probably the last marketing event I spoke at. I'm like, I can't stomach this, and that stuff happens so much more than you would realize. I had to get away from that world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since I've been online since 2008, I have seen just different incarnations of like the internet bro type marketer kind of thing. And I shared with you when we first got on the call before we hit record that I fell for Ty Lopez, which, and who knows if anyone listening even knows who that was. But for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 8 months, you couldn't turn on anything without seeing Ty Lopez. And so first of all, I wanted to see how his funnel worked. So you can spin that I was using it for market research. But I was fascinated. And then once I was in the inside of how the portal worked, there was nothing there. It was literally a guy sitting in a garage in front of a fake bookcase talking to a camera for hours and hours and hours about absolutely nothing.
Most courses are like that. You get kind of sucked in. And as I said, and I'm not speaking about Ty specifically because I haven't been through his program.
I know, probably I'm going to get sued. But
well,
whatever.
But I would tell you the truth.
I have no money, Ty Lopez. Actually, I think he disappeared off the face of the earth anyway.
Well, he started this big investment group. I know they bought Radio Shack. They bought all these old assets.
Well, then there you go.
But I'm just saying I can't comment just because I haven't been through his programs. But I'm saying in general, a lot of people, what they do is they make the first product they make money with is how to make money. Like I've seen so many, especially like we were talking about the female boss babe. They talk about this, how I made $100,000 with my first course. And you look at their course, and their course is called How to Make $100,000 with Your First Course. And I want to scream. I'm like, does anyone just take a step back and think about this logically? Like the first thing you should do, here's a few things. Number one is if you're going to spend a lot of money, Google their friggin' name. Go to Facebook, right? Even Facebook, like reviews. If you go to Facebook and you look up my name, you go to facebook.com/RyanLee.com, actually, you'll see I have hundreds of 5-star reviews from real people. And I'm not saying that to brag. I am a little bit. But look, just Google the person's name. Yeah. Google the person's name and plus the word scam. Ask if they have a reference.
So that part and the word scam. Because I did that after the fact. After I realized things were scams. But now, and I think I learned this from you in an email, is if you Google anybody plus the word scam, you'll find a Reddit thread. You'll find something. So absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah,
just look, don't get sucked in, this deal's going away in 30 seconds and the fake downtown clock, and don't fall for that stuff. Yeah. Believe me, if this person is trying to sell a $1,000 course, if you come back the next day, they're going to take your money. They will. Yeah. They're not going. So take your time, look up their name, look on social media, because you're going to be shocked at what you find if you just take 5 minutes. Sometimes they might be great, they might have a great reputation, or they might be crappy, but you can ask them, email their support, see if they ever get back to you, right? Message them on Facebook, see if they get back to you, and ask them, that's great, I see that you have this course. Have you ever created a course in another market that's not internet marketing? Have you ever built a business outside of how to make money? If they say no, then be very leery because they're only making money teaching how to make money. Most of my income, most of my wealth has come from the health and fitness space. That's where I started. That's still my bread and butter. So selling dollars at a discount is pretty easy. If I could say to you, I'm going to show you how to make $100,000 and you only have to give me $1,000, it's a bargain. But try moving that over to, how to raise a healthy daughter or how to save your marriage. It's a different world, and it's a much tougher sell. So be careful with who you're buying from.
No, absolutely. And then I wanted you to know that, so 2 things bubbled up there. Once I ended up on a call with a business coach, and I think I gave her money. I'm pretty sure I gave her money. But anyway, I gave her money, and then later, after I had worked with her, and really I just needed another pair of eyes on my brain to make sure what I was doing made sense. So I was buying the validation of doing what I already knew deep down inside is what I wanted to do. So later, I don't know, 6 months later, 8 months later, I see a post from her on Instagram on how she finally cracked the 6-figure mark in her business. And I'm like, oh no, what was
Isn't
I
it
doing?
crazy?
So, yeah,
I
so
know.
so I fell for that. I fell for Instagram filters and reels and whatnot. So I am
Yeah.
not infallible. That said, I bought 2 things from you. I bought, it looks like back in 2014, after I was on your list for 3 or 4 months, I bought something called the Ryan Lee Vault for $197. I don't remember what it was,
Oh, there was a lot of products in there.
but I don't remember what it was. But I saw an email thread and I clicked on it, and evidently I couldn't get in. And within 3 minutes, your support team wrote back and said, "Oh, here, try this password." And then it worked, and so I wrote back, "Thanks." So thank you for that. And then later, I bought the 1 email a day
Oh, yeah.
thing, and that was fantastic, and I enjoyed that. And you were talking in front of a whiteboard or a legal pad or something, and it was fantastic. And since then, I have emailed my list pretty much every day. I've got multiple lists, but there's lots of emails from me going out, and the idea that it's this long trickle. I'm not in it to get rich quick. I'm in it to help people. And
Yeah.
if it takes 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, that's okay, because I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
And I learned that from you, and then from you, I think, oh, I don't know. I ended up on Ben Suttle's list for a while, but then the misogyny got to me, and I had to stop that.
he's a character. Well,
Yeah.
look, it's we're here.
That said, I think I have,
Yeah.
what is it, The Evil Dark Overlord's
Yeah.
Guide to Persuasion Secrets. I have one of those books.
But I gotta tell you, so Ben's a good friend. I do love the guy. He's such a sweet guy, but he's so funny with his marketing. But look, you nailed it.
But
though.
I'm most certainly not his
Yeah.
target demographic.
Yeah, no,
in
no,
the
no, no,
slightest.
no. You're not. You have to be. I think his target is mostly serial killers. I'm like this bright ray of sunshine. I'm like, hey guys, and he's
know.
like, I'm gonna murder everybody. But you were right in that, like with your business, taking your time. Like, the name of this is the Slow Living Podcast, right? Like just saying, hey, I am here. I'm here to serve first and foremost, and I'm in it for the long run. I mean, I've been online since 1998, and we're recording this in 2023. I'm not going anywhere.
No.
And I love helping and serving and seeing people that I've known for 20-something years. And I think no matter what we do, we should be in it for the long run instead of just
Yeah.
trying to make a quick buck. So
when you had your Freedom site, you had a guy on, and he had I want to say MS, multiple sclerosis.
oh yeah, Ken.
Okay, so a friend of mine has MS. So I sent her that link, and she was eternally grateful.
Oh,
And so
that's
just
awesome.
the idea that you're really helping actual, for realsies, people solve problems in their life and live a better life just feels so nice and so wonderful. And you are not here to pitch anything. That said, your website is ryanlee.com, which is spelled exactly the way it should be spelled. And you had a video that somehow I found this morning, and I'm a 4 a.m.er, and not because Craig Ballantyne told me that your perfect day starts at 4 a.m., but because that's naturally
He was
my-
he was the first guy that worked for me, by the way.
yeah.
Online.
Well, so his perfect day formula works for me only because now my children are older and I can do whatever I want in the morning. It does not work when you have teeny tiny babies in the house and you're nursing around the clock. But that is when my body sort of bounces away. So here I am, Ryan. I'm earning street cred with you by all of the name dropping. Also, here, I'll just name drop for you. Because you were on John Lee Dumas's Entrepreneur on Fire podcast, I read that in one of your emails, and I thought, well, shit, I can do that too. So then I emailed him, and then I was on a few months later, which gave me a huge bump. So,
oh, that's great.
yeah, so very trickle down. And then I think because of you, I also bought David Site Garland. Why does everybody have three names?
David Siteman Garland.
Yeah. So his Create Awesome online courses. So I bought that also, which was super helpful because that's how I built the Simple Shortcuts to B-Scores, was just following that step by step. So anyway, what was I saying?
You were saying that my friend Ken with MS,
Yes.
the group, yeah.
Yes. So he helped my, I'm not going to name her name, but he helped a friend of mine. So that was very helpful. But what you are doing, so your new site, well, it's your name, ryanlee.com. But what won me over this morning at 4 a.m., now I figured it out, was it's you talking into the camera saying, will my business idea work?
Oh, yeah, I just posted that.
Yeah, and you said, I don't know.
Yeah.
And how refreshing is that?
Yeah, I don't know, right? Like I could get. I know. Here's what I know. I know what won't work, right? Like I have a pretty good sense. Like if your idea is so, like there was one person who I remember I coached him years ago. He said, Ryan, I have the best idea. I want to write a book, and it's called like 52 Diets. So every week you're going to do a different diet.
Oh God.
I said, that sounds awful. I said, first of all, because I'm my health and fitness background, my master's is exercise physiology. I said, if you're going to do a diet, you have to buy all new food, and your body has to acclimate, and it takes weeks, and there's so many different things, and you're going to shift every week. I said, it's not practical. Like maybe the hook is interesting. He's like, but people like to try different diets. I said, but it's not realistic. It's not going to help people. He's like, I think you're wrong. So he was arguing with me. So I know, like, I knew that wasn't going to work. I said, right. I really hope you prove me wrong. I never heard from him again. Shocker. But I also don't know with 100% certainty if something is going to win. The only way to know, especially if it's a product you're actually selling, right? I'm not talking about getting social media likes. I'm talking about people actually looking, saying, oh my God, look at that slow cooker. Here's my credit card, I want to buy it. It's the only way to know, because what happens is you say to your friends, oh my God, I have this great idea, I want to sell this, or I want to make this, and like, oh my God, Jenny, that is the greatest. When you do it, I'm going to be your first customer. And then you launch, and you text dear old Jenny, and you get ghosted. Yeah. Jenny is nowhere to be. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I've been so busy. Yeah, I'll buy it later. Never. No. So I don't know.
Yeah. And your friends are not your customers.
No. Some might be.
Some.
But they're not.
But they're not going to be your best customers.
No. But and the other thing to be careful of is if you're selling to people in professional markets in an industry. So let's say you are you're in HR, right? And you want to sell to other people in HR. You're teaching a productivity program for people in HR. Great. You have to be careful, like who it is you're selling to and what your colleagues are saying, because other HR people or other experts in this HR might be really annoyed with you. They're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're teaching that. You're wrong," and that's okay. That sometimes that actually means you're doing the right thing, because if your colleagues, maybe that wasn't the best example. The best example would be, let's say you're an HR person teaching HR strategies to non-HR people, and then the HR people get annoyed with you. Yeah. So just focus on the stammering thing I'm trying to say. Focus on the people you're serving. Focus on your tribe. Focus on the people that you're there to help, not everyone else, not your friends, not Aunt Sally. Yeah. Just focus entirely on them. Like, you really have to put them first. And I know this is cliched, people over profits, but you can't just say it. They have to know it. Like the fact that you referenced an email from 2014 and my team emailed you in 3 minutes makes me feel really good, because I spent for years and years and years, I spent so much more money on customer support than I did on marketing. Yeah. Because anyone can make a sale, but keeping the people around and keeping them happy is a whole different thing. So just obsess over that and make sure you're serving the right people.
I love, I don't make all that many sales. So when I do, I get excited, and in my brain, I mentally thank the person who just gave me PayPal money. But often I'll run the email through my listserv, which happens to be Aweber, because of Ryan Lee told me to do that back in 2014. And I'm too lazy to change. And also, Aweber has fantastic customer service. They are. They do. Yeah. I'm really super pleased with them. But I'll run them through, and they will have been on my list usually for years. and it's this kind of long rabbit trail or breadcrumb trail, whatever the trail is.
Yeah.
And I like that. I appreciate it. One thing I want to point out that if you're listening and you haven't already seen some of the big name documentaries about scammers, so if you haven't watched the WeWork documentary, the LuLaRoe,
that was good.
the Theranos, so Jen Shaw, do you follow any of the housewives, Ryan? Okay.
No.
So
I've heard. I know my wife watches a lot
Okay.
of those shows. I know
Okay,
she was
so-
just arrested for something, telemarketing or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So honestly, she was, and she so Jen Shaw is a Real Housewife of Salt Lake City, which is just as much of an oxymoron as you would think it should be. She was indicted, and I think she's going to serve 6.5 years, although they were pressing for a 50-year sentence. And she did a direct marketing, and it looks like they scammed the elderly. And that's the part that bothers me, is when you tell
Yeah.
me that they get on the phone and they bully them. At one point, very early on, and I was sort of fielding book offers, somehow through some clicking, and I ended up on the phone with a guy, and he was trying to get me to buy something. And I hung up, and I said, I'm not comfortable with this. And he called me back in 10 minutes and asked for the credit card number. He's like, well, we're halfway through the process. Why don't you just read off the rest of your credit card number? I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's really creepy.
It's I don't know, truly, I don't know how people can live with themselves ripping others off. And some of these people are really smart. It's like if you just took those brains and used them for something good, could you imagine what you could accomplish? And Utah is kind of the hotbed of the like the telemarketing world. I filmed an infomercial years ago. I spent my own money. I spent about $35,000 with the whole idea, because I wrote a book. I said, we'll promote the book, and then I'll have a back-end newsletter, like $20 a month. That was my model. I'm like, that's going to be simple. People are going to get so much value for $20. And then after I film, he's like, the guy who produced it said, I have this great guy, and it was one of these Utah firms, and he's like, we got to do this, and we're going to sell. I have a whole team, and we're going to sell them, $50,000 coaching. I'm like,
gosh.
I was like, well, who's going to do the coaching? They're like, oh, we got these young guys. They're like 19 and 20, but they're really smart. I'm like, but they never built a business. They're like, yeah, but it's really just accountability. I'm like, you want to charge people like $20, $30, $50,000 for accountability?
Yikes.
They're like, yeah, but you're going to make so much money. I said, I can't do that. My name's on it. I'm not going to do that. And they're like, well, it's the only way we're going to do the infomercial. We're going to run it. And I already filmed it. I said, well, then I'm going to take the $30,000 loss, because I can't do this. And I walked away.
Yeah.
Because I just, and I'm not saying that because I'm perfect, but I just couldn't live with that. It just felt so wrong on so many levels. Like, people can rationalize anything, ripping people off.
Right.
So
early on, so we're recording number 70. In the early episodes, maybe it was 11 or 12 or something, I recorded something called "Your Identity Needs to Lead with Integrity." And it was the same sort of idea, because I was in an infomercial, and I enjoyed. I liked the Hollywood aspect. I liked getting my hair and makeup done. That part was really fun for me. But then one of the lines was they wanted me to say, "This is the best beef stew I've ever had," and I wouldn't say it. And they're like, "Oh, no,
Good
no,
for you.
It's right there in the teleprompter." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "But it's beef stew. It all tastes the same." Like,
exactly
yes, this
it, yeah.
is an amazing slow cooker. I'm happy to promote this slow cooker, but this is not the best beef stew I've ever had in my whole life. Like, no. and so I stuck with it, and then they never used me again, Ryan.
You know what, though? Good for you to stick with your guns. I love that. Hey, I love these stories. God, I'm telling you, I have so many stories. I spoke at an event, and one of these, I didn't realize that he's a very, very well-known author, and he's one of these cheesy personal development people. And I
Yeah.
kind of spoke as a favor.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You probably, everyone knows this guy. And the whole thing, everyone, him on stage, everyone's like, and do you want to do this? Yes or yes? Like they're trying to get
Oh
people to say
gosh,
yes so you
or
can buy.
yes? Ew.
I wanted to, I'm sitting in the audience, like my skin is crawling and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go up next. And every speaker, who wants to do this? Yes or yes?
Oh
So
gosh.
of course I get up there and I just bust his chops. And I'm like, do you want to learn this? Yes or yes?
Oh my goodness.
And
So
I was never asked to
as a
speak
woman,
again.
I've got to just tell you what you're saying is making literally the hair on my neck stand up, because this is
Yeah.
such like a like really bad
Ugh.
sleazy man tactic, and
cheesy.
it's just so gross.
Awful.
And I'm raising 3 daughters, so it's just so icky. And at one point, my dad told me never to trust a salesman, and this was probably dating advice. He said, never trust a salesman because he's going to talk you into something you don't want or do something you don't want to do. And that's what comes up. And also,
Yeah.
this other idea of, especially as a woman, the elevator test of who are you okay being locked in an elevator with, and you have to trust your gut always with that kind of stuff. So I will tell you that, Ryan, you are a cross between my husband and my brother. So you definitely pass that
Well,
test. But
I appreciate that.
but really taking the time when this kind of stuff comes up and turning off the noise in that kind of group think mentality, especially in a seminar when everyone is chanting and they don't understand that they're in this kind of NLP trance. Really listening to your inner voice and not falling for it.
And don't go. Don't go to those stupid, first of all, if an event's free, you're going to be sold something. The minute, like if you're at an event and they start saying, and give the person next to you a high five and rub their shoulders, grab your stuff, grab your purse, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Because nothing good is going to happen. I am so against all that. Can't it just be real people up there saying, look, this is it. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to teach. I really want you to get this and this out of it. Oh, and by the way, at the end, we do have a product to sell. And if you want to get it, great. If you don't, that's cool too. But sit back, relax, put your credit card away, and let's just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Just do that.
I absolutely agree with you. And it's interesting because I am not a fan of icebreakers or any sort of forced vulnerability exercises at all. Like if I'm going to a yoga class, I'm going to sit on my yoga mat. I'm not going to look at anybody else. I'm going to do yoga. I don't want to share my name and how many kids I have and that kind of stuff. And that sort of thing really is a tactic that predators use to lower your vulnerability. That all of a sudden everybody knows everybody's name and we're all in this together. And really, no, I just want to do a yoga class.
Yeah. I want to do a yoga class. I want to build a business. I want to do, just let me do my thing. Or I was at an event a few years ago, and at the end, all right, everyone get together and do this, signal with your hand, make your fingers into a heart and put it over your chest. I'm like, ugh. Or the events where, and I have a couple of friends who run events like these where they, you're going to love this one, Stephanie, like the guys, right? The alpha dudes, they're like, dude, man up and let's do this. And they pretend they're Navy SEALs. And they're like, you're the king, your wife is the queen, and blah, blah, blah. And they're on the beach and they're screaming and they're all wearing the same douchey T-shirts. And I'm just like, I would never do. And I'm like, dude, you were a mortgage broker 2 years ago. What are you talking about? You weren't in the Navy SEALs. I'd rather have, everyone come over, let's go to my house. Let's talk marketing, and then let's watch a movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Or sit by the campfire, hang out, and have some s'mores.
Yeah.
But,
No, I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. And so that's what's so funny because, it's the Slow Living podcast, and I am very into slow, thoughtful, methodical, and also keeping the end in sight. Who do I want to be when I'm 70? What do I want to be proud of? When I'm 80, am I going to be able to crawl on the floor with my grandchildren and garden and do all the things? And then planning my life from that viewpoint backwards. And at the end of the day, an extra $5,000, if you churn through your list or gross people out, isn't going to matter. So really be thoughtful and considerate and helpful and kind, and like, this is the Girl Scout and the Boy Scout motto. Like really do those things.
Just be a good human being.
Yeah.
Just that's it. Like I'm Jewish, and there's a term. It's called being a mensch.
Okay.
Just be a mensch. Just being a good person.
Yeah.
Just be a good. Treat everyone well. Treat everyone how you want to be treated, and just don't play games. Don't manipulate. You know, if you're selling stuff. And for those of you,
Wait, speaking of selling stuff, isn't there a mensch on the shelf because of Elf on the Shelf? Isn't that a thing?
mensch on a bench.
Oh, mensch on.
Yes.
You're right. I got the
Yes.
alliteration wrong. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And my wife's Catholic, so we have all the holidays here, but we've got the elf and the mensch. But
Okay.
yeah, and if you're going to buy things, don't get sucked into you got to buy now. Just take your time, sleep on it, right?
Yes.
And I know this is good advice for you buying. It's probably not good advice if I want you to buy my stuff,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but
Well,
because
I
scarcity
advise-
is a thing.
Yeah, and I advise the women that I coach to follow the pull versus the push. So you know what you're guided towards and what feels good. And trusting your gut and your intuition goes an awful long way. It really, really does. I want to
It
be
does.
cognizant of our time, Ryan, and I have to wake up Sheldon the dog and take him for a walk. But I had one more thing on my list to perhaps maybe make you blush. In 2016, 2017, I was taking care of Grandma, and she wasn't doing well, and she ended up passing away in 2017. But I was in kind of this sort of lowish point, and I was on your list, and someone wrote in, or maybe it was a Facebook Live, I don't know, but said, what business book is your favorite? And you were very honest, and you said, it's the one you take action on, because it really doesn't matter. And quite honestly, I just like reading Jack Ryan novels. And I thought, well, I don't even know what a Jack Ryan novel is. So I totally Googled it, and I bought one right then and there on Amazon, and I spent the next 3 weeks in the bathtub reading this book, which was great because it took my brain away from the stuff that I was worried about, the stuff that I couldn't help. I mean, Grandma was
Right.
sick. There was nothing I could do about it. But I just want to thank you for that, because I didn't need to read yet another business book. I really didn't. I know
Right.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, and there comes a time when you just got to put the damn book down, right? And you just got to do. And but on a little side note, you might say, okay, I turned my brain off. I read a Jack Ryan novel. I read, James Patterson, whatever. You don't think it's helping you in your business, especially if you're a marketer, but that's actually more helpful, because business and email and marketing is just storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. And that's why you're better off watching a really good show. Like, watch Breaking Bad and see the way every episode ends with a cliffhanger and keeps you I mean, you talk about marketing. That's the best marketing lesson you can have versus, here's the hack on how to get, another 100 Instagram followers. So if you think about it, half of this interview today was us, you and I, both sharing stories.
Yeah.
Stories are powerful, so storytelling and weaving it in is a good thing. But I'm glad you got that lesson. And yes, put down the books. Like, get one really good book, take notes, and then go implement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think you are wonderful. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
for spending so much time with me this morning. And I think there are so many juicy nuggets in here that are great takeaways. If you want to find Ryan Lee online, it's Ryan Lee, RyanLee.com. He's a real guy. You can get trapped in an elevator with him, and he's not a skis ball.
I appreciate it, and I promise I'm clean, and the elevator will not smell. So thank you. Because this title is called "Sniffing Out the Scammer."
It
so
is
I am
Sniffing Out the Scammer.
Yes, I am clean. So,
are.
but thank you for having me, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
Always. All right, you take care. Thank you,
All right.
Slow Down Society, and have a great day. Do you have a slow living story to share? Leave me a voicemail at stephanieodea.com/podcast with any questions, comments, feedback, or testimonials, and I will be sure to include it in an upcoming episode. Also, if you found value in this episode, please share it with your family and friends and subscribe through your favorite podcast provider. The more you share, comment, and leave positive reviews, the more people we can reach and share the slow living lifestyle and messaging. Thank you, Slow Down Society, and have an absolutely wonderful day.